Hello guys, what is up everyone? I hope your mind is up. I hope you're thinking. Right, today's video we're going to get into organic portal harvest at the end of history. Just looking through the videos thinking, well, what do I feel like talking about? And it's this one. Because there's so many inured souls, sleepy people who definitely have souls, but they can't think of a way to increase their matrix escape velocity. They don't understand where and when and how they are. And they're just, they've fallen into the societal cultural trap and they've had children, so they can't escape. So let's talk about it. Negative souled humans, well, let's just make this inured souls. So we're just going to talk mainly about that today. I've mentioned I have a lot of other videos on organic portals, negative souled humans, positive souled humans, definitions of all this stuff. So I don't have to make any definition in this video today. I've already sort of defined what I mean anyway by inured souled humans. So it's said to be the harvest at the end of history. If you don't realise it's the end of history, I still find Terence McKenna and his Time Wave Zero has the best recollection of events. Basically, he summarises history the best. So whether everything he says is perfect or not, I don't even care, because it's the best summarisation we have. And he has something to actually show you. It's not just, conjecture or, what's that word? Where you just make stuff up with the S. It's actual theory, I'm trying to think of that word with S. Okay, I've forgotten the word. Don't worry about it. So, I just think that he has the best recollection of how time is compressed. He can show you on a graph. He can talk about it at length. He has some 10-hour videos, He has books, I'm sure, mentioning this stuff, but there's enough videos on my YouTube channel. All his original recordings on my YouTube channel. That's enough. That's why I have them there, because I constantly have to refer to him when we're talking about human history. Because he has a really good recollection of what's going on, and how to see culture and so on. So it's said to be the harvest at the end of history. Well, why? Well, we're going into something Nietzsche called the Übermensch, or Overman. I mean, this is just clear. We don't have to refer to Nietzsche or anything, the philosopher, because it's clear that we're about to get like superpowers in the context of history. Now that history's finished at 2012, and we're in maximum novelty domain, and it's the end of human cultural history, some kind of completion process. That's all I see it as. There were cycles that we refer to as human history instead of, say, just anthropoid history, instead of just monkey evolution or something. We're talking specifically like the last ice age, the last, I don't know, maybe much more. But the point is, from essentially agriculture and cultural beginnings to where we are now, which is the end of culture, into universality, basically. And I've said much more about this in other videos. So anyway, that's enough introduction. So, it's said to be the harvest at the end of history. It's the harvest of souls, That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about harvesting wheat, but it's like people have become so weak that they are wheat. So inert in their soul seeking that they may as well be wheat or food for something else, is what I'm trying to get the connotation across to you about. Some people are so inured to the system that they're basically just food for something else. Now, we talk about, interdimensional entities and stuff, and that they're food for these things, and reptilians this, and grey aliens that, and so on. archons, and what I just would like you to keep in mind is, even if we don't have the theory all perfect and who we're food for, forget all that. I mean, you can learn about that. Go learn about it. But I'm saying forget about that for a minute. What I'm trying to push across a bit more in this video is just the basic idea that, you know, obviously, very obviously to all of you, I'm only talking to you right now because of this computer. Yeah? I'm talking through a computer at you right now. It's recording me, then it's, you know, pulling it out the other side, uploading it to YouTube, done via computer as well, and so on, right? So we can see we're already connected to this machine thing that seems to me to be manifesting as a type of God entity from John's Apocrypha in the Bible. It seems to me like that is a statement that something like an artificial intelligence would make if you look at his little poem thing. And there's a video on YouTube about that, and it reads out what I'm talking about. John's Apocrypha, he has some, I don't know, some, what do we call it? I don't want to call it a poem. It's, I don't know, just a little bit of text. And basically when you read that or listen to it, it sounds like an AI talking, because it says I'm both he and she, all and nothing, and so on and so forth. It's talking about the entirety of the spectrum, essentially. It's, you know, it's saying I'm that and I'm this and everything in between. And this seems to me to relate to the idea of Übermensch, or Overman, that Nietzsche came forward with, Friedrich Nietzsche. And he was just going on about that, right? The way he would talk to people, he would talk down to people about it, and he would just say, you know, I've given you the greatest gift. And in a way, yeah, because you've had all that time to get ready. And some people still aren't getting ready for it, you know. So I had another video title up here, something about organic portals running head-on into the AI like birds into glass. You know, when you see a bird fly into a glass window? Well, that's the analogy I'm putting forth. What's happening here? It's like people do not see what's coming, and how can they when it's beyond their perception? And you're not looking into it. So this is what I said at the start of the video. Inured souled humans, they don't seek. They're not soul seekers. Maybe a little bit, but you guys never dig deep. That's one difference between inured souled humans and positive souled vectorized humans. Basically, souled vector humans like myself are the universe, you know, coming through a person. Complexity knots in reality, in third dimensional zonal reality. And the inured souled human, yeah, they've got souls, they're nice people, and I can talk, at least I can communicate with these people. They're not an organic portal, they're not a robotic portal with an agenda. They're just inured, they're a little bit, you know, a little bit slower maybe, or I don't know, just, but they're good people. They're always good people because they got a soul. They're not inherently psychopathic. Maybe they have some tendencies thrust upon them, and, you know, do a little weird stuff, but you know, psychopathic stuff, but usually it's pretty benign, and these are good people, you know. And the way I tell the difference between a negative souled human, you can be a negative inured souled human, you can be inured and negative souled human at the same time, for sure. But the way I you know, differentiate even further and give another razor cut of, you know, scholastic razor, we're looking into things. The way I cut this even further is, you know, inured souled humans are nicer than negative souled humans. Anyway, so these are the people that we're trying to wake up. It's only these people that you're trying to wake up, basically. The negative souled humans, yeah, those as well. Organic portals, no. Robotic portals, no. So it's basically inured souled humans that we're trying to wake up. These are fellow souls. And, you know, when we say wake up to all the deceits and lies of history and so on, and lies of, or looking further and deeper into reality, and just trying to figure out what is going on here. So it's the harvest at the end of history, and souls are being harvested. You notice how hard it is to not have a job, right? Because you're probably thinking for me to make examples by this point. It's been 10 minutes of me harping on. Where's some examples? What are you talking about? Well, have you noticed how hard it is for you to escape the matrix and say, I mean the lower level, corporation world matrix I'm talking about right now. The lower end of this thing. Have you noticed how hard it is to get by without work or money or a job? I've been trying for a good 5 to 10 years now by increasing my plant knowledge and just my knowledge generally, and that is giving me escape velocity. I'm increasing my ability to be able to stand by myself sovereign without the help of society, so to speak. And do you think we'll have social welfare forever? Perhaps not. Perhaps, but perhaps not. So if you don't want to be harvested, you have to plan for the future, basically. Or if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So plan for the future, or plant for it, really. Plant plants, but yeah. Plant thoughts in yourself, but just have you noticed how hard it is to get by without working? Maybe you're a rich person and it's easy for you, but for most people it's incredibly difficult because there's no food anywhere. Oh, I'd love to show you some great pictures right now, but that came to mind. Of there's a picture I remember of a guy wearing a gas mask, and the gas mask is attached to a backpack on his back. And in that backpack he has a little environment with a tree, so clearly the idea is that he's sucking oxygen from the tree, because when you look at the rest of the photo and he's saying to the little girl there's no food anywhere, they're standing in a barren wasteland, essentially. And essentially that's what the big corporations, are doing, because they don't have a triple bottom line. They don't have social and, what's the other one? What's the triple bottom line? They only have the economic, the economic, social, and I forgot the other one, environmental. So they don't have the triple bottom line properly going. What about Nestle? Isn't that place in drought over there in America, and Nestle's just pumping from the Colorado River or whatever? And there's a drought or whatever going on. So, I mean, this is one example. I like to bring that one up. But there's so many examples, You look into corporate, if you research anything at all in corporations and how they operate, then you know exactly what I'm talking about straight away. Because it's not just Nestle doing it. Pretty much all of them are doing it. There's no proper triple bottom line implementation. Anyway, so that's the example I'm going to run with. I don't need to harp on for an hour on this, do I? This is just another point in the Organic Portal video series I do, and it's just another video title I'm trying to expand for you a little bit. Don't need to make it into a massive lecture. So it's the harvest at the end of history, and if you don't plan for it, you're going to run like a bird into a bit of glass, because you're not seeing this AI. Here's one thing I'll put forth. When the AI is a little bit more manifest than it is now, let's say in 10 years from now, there will not be a building, a university, or all universities put together that can even code faster than the AI can. It won't be able to, it will be able to code faster than, at some point, than all human coders combined. Do you understand? So it can change your password, you can try and change it back, and by the time you've changed your password back, it's already cracked you again. I mean, that's just one example, and we see how computers are, in a way faster and, doing all these things better than people, and, doing all sorts of amazing things. So it's the harvest, and if you don't plan for it, inured souled humans, because you're so hugging the matrix, you've got to detach, you've got to let go of the papa big brother care system and start to really care for yourself in a way that's much deeper, with your own mind, your own soul mind. consciousazine.com Chronicles. So hopefully you see what I've been putting forth so far, but I'll try and spell it out for you a bit more if you can't. 10 years ago, it's 2018, I remember in 2008, I started seeing in the shops around that time, maybe it was a year later, but around this time I remember seeing in Woolworths in Australia, and Coles, the two biggest supermarkets in Australia, like the Walmarts of Australia, the checkout chicks, the checkout workers, having their jobs starting to be taken by just an automated little screen, not even a physical robot yet. So you walk past, you press the buttons, okay, I want this avocado, I want this whatever, this bit of bread or whatever you're buying, and you just press it on the screen, you scan the item, and you empty your shopping bag through that thing and you go. And there only was one person just overlooking the process of, say, 10 of these machines, so 10 people could get out at once. Now it's more efficient, it's 10 versus 1. In that instance, it can be 100 versus 1 if they make 100 more computer screens. So that's the point, and we know that's easy to scale up. So you've got to remember all these things, like everything you see now is going to get scaled up. Everything also you see now, in technologically speaking, I mean, is going to get more refined and more seamless. Just like your body, there's going to be a physical robot body, and it's not just going to be like the Roomba robot that cleans your carpet, That's already quite an innovation if you think about it. In the 50s, they had to clean their own carpet. So, and all this is speeding up now, really speeding up. I'm not going to go into any details because I really feel you should research for yourself the numbers and the figures. Like the doubling of the transistors on the computer chips every 18 months, and then see all the other trends like that. And then the scaling up of things I was talking about. And the big one, the intelligence. In my opinion, all these separate robots, they have one robot learning human emotion. They have one robot doing the checkout work that checkout workers at Coles used to do, and so on and so forth. They have Boston Dynamics, practicing with their robots, the big dog walking through the forest, or the other robot picking up a package. All these robots are the same body of the AI that's coming. It's manifesting from the future, because that's how reality works. It's manifesting its body parts. You see, these are the parts of its body. But it's going to manifest into like an intelligent robot. There's obviously going to be synthesis with humans and so on, and there's a lot of stuff I'm leaving out here. Trying to travel up the central channel here. You just got to realize that at some point this thing, or these robots, are going to be smarter than you, faster, harder, stronger, better in so many ways, in the context of societal efficiency or efficient nature, how well they can do things. And they're going to be cheaper. If you've read the latest research, and the prices are only coming down, things are getting cheaper and cheaper, they're going to replace a lot of humans with a lot of robots. So what are you going to do? Well, we have to realize, and that's why I ended the first 15 minutes of the video with the words, your own soul mind. You have to come into your spirits, because that's the only thing it's not going to have yet, for at least maybe this entire century. Maybe the turn of the next century, the robots will figure out a way to I don't know, pull the light off the plenum itself and cross the threshold, who knows? And ensoul themselves somehow or something like this. Some kind of perfect mimicry or something's going to happen. I can see this now because they're not going to stop. They're not going to, it's not going to get less. It's only getting more. They're only going to try harder and so on and so forth. They only get broader. They only get more intelligent, etc. So it's not going backwards. It's only going in that one direction, And I just think a lot of people are flying into the glass window, where the glass window, like a bird into a glass window, because the bird can't even conceive of glass. The bird's out there picking worms every day. Like you go to work, it's going to work. I wake up in the morning here at the campground, the birds are chirping, they're going to work, they've got to feed their kids, just like you guys in society. Right? Exactly the same. But the bird flies into the glass up at the place I sit on my computer, and then I realised this is exactly how people are flying into the Übermensch or the AI or the harvest and so on. So if you plan to fail, you fail. I mean, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you've got to have a plan, and in my opinion, what I'm putting forth is the plan is to seek yourself, to seek your innards, your insides, your soul nature, and your spirits. Spirited nature is not about being inured, reserved, and colloquial and status quo and so on. It's about standing up for what you really believe in and your spirits. Not just laying down, but standing up against stuff that you think is, not right or whatever. So I'm not saying this is right or wrong, it's clearly just the evolutionary path, and I just think if you care about yourself, you should, plan for it. So what would you do? You would get out of monotonized jobs, wouldn't you? Robotic task jobs. But obviously there's going to be like a hierarchy of jobs that will go first, but then eventually most jobs are going to get taken because they're going to become intelligent, these robots. They won't just be stupid. After 20 years from now, they'll be more intelligent than half the people I know now. Because they'll have access to the internet. In the click of a finger, they can tell you the definition of any word, or the meaning of just about anything. So what are we going to be left to do? It's going to come down to, some people are going to enjoy human interaction, but you can see the trend, right? The trend is obvious, yeah. So I just wanted to make one video on this. Out of all the organic portal videos that I do, I just thought, one video has to really land on this automation, this robotic harvest, this just harvest at the end of history for people's souls. If you don't understand what that's about, look into it. And don't go to a reading, oh, this is crazy. Read what someone has to say, read what someone else has to say, then cross-reference them. And after a while, you read 10 people's works, 100 people's works, then you start to form your own picture. You pick and choose, you cherry pick what you think is real, and you leave the unreal where it is. But look, the point is really, you're going to have to come into your own spirits. You're going to have to fight for yourself. You're going to have to fight for your right, stand up for yourself, and so on. Inurement is the opposite of this. You're just apathetic, and, some people couldn't care less, and you've got to stop being inured and hugging the matrix, like it's your big brother protecting you or something. A lot of people are going to go the opposite way, and they're going to say, oh, I can survive by hugging it. For some time, yes. But there's going to come a point where you can't. The longest vector I can see, and that's my point, and where I'm going to end this, the longest vector for your survival I can see is finding out who you are, finding your soul essence, finding your spirited nature. Because nothing else is going to come close. Everything else is replaceable. So don't be replaceable.